it's not as if the Secretary of State can't communicate globally when he's remote from Washington or from other parts where there are challenges. So it may simply be that they need to consult with the president or other officials in person. It may be that they're trying to signal the gravity of this to the administration, and we should never underrate the kind of signaling aspects of moves, whether it's words or deeds that are important. And a lot of international politics is engaging in a kind of signaling about resolve or a signaling about the kind of will or credibility you have. So that could be part of it as well. One of the problems here is that not only the rocket attack that precipitated this crisis, but also what we saw yesterday at the embassy, I think that shows you that the maximum pressure campaign that the Trump administration has been pursuing vis-a-vis Iran is actually not working to reduce tensions, and it's not creating a docile Iran. In fact, it's actually creating more hostilities and more challenges for the relationship. This is not going to get resolved quickly because of the fact that the United States is pursuing this maximum pressure campaign, and Iran is also engaging in its own types of signaling by pushing back. And some security studies scholars I've talked to have talked about how this is less an act of desperation by Iran in response to the maximum pressure campaign, but them showing that they can scratch back, that they can push back. And as we oftentimes say in this field, the enemy gets a vote. And in this case, the Iranians are also able to use some of their own levers of statecraft as we use our own, such as the sanctions and those attacks that we saw against Iranian proxies recently. It's a sign, actually, that the United States isn't necessarily viewed as a kind of partner or ally by everyone in Iraq. Partly that's because of a clash of interests, and partly that's because of the United States' posture there isn't necessarily, like I said, popular. And I think it really begs the question, all of this, the attacks, the rocket attacks, the attacks on the embassy, as well as some of the challenges we have with the Iraqi relationship and with the Iranian government. It begs the question of why are United States troops still in places like Iraq and the Middle East? ISIS has been decimated, so these troops are actually, the United States' troops there are, they're less for that reason than perhaps for regional dynamics related to Iran. And so why do we want to have troops in a vulnerable situation in which they can be attacked by proxies like this? Yeah, I mean, I think it was the right decision to send troops to the embassy to make sure that it is secure. This is something that's crucial for the United States to make sure it protects its personnel. Clearly, the politics of this is that the president doesn't want to have a Benghazi situation on his hands, and so you can understand that. But in terms of sending more troops to the Gulf, to Iraq specifically, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. What are our interests in trying to sort out the domestic politics of Iraq to try to deal with Iranian influence there, which is going to be natural, again, following the U.S.'s policies all the way back to 2003 when the United States toppled the Saddam Hussein regime, which was really a bad regime, but was a balance against Iran in that region.